March 29th regular meeting of the School Board of Charlotte County, Florida is hereby called to order. We will achieve our vision of student success through our mission. We will inspire and innovate. No, let's try that again. We're going to provide an innovative educational experience. Now you're laughing.
I'm not laughing.
We're starting over. The Tuesday, March the 29th, regular meeting of the School Board of Charlotte County is hereby called to order. And here in Charlotte County Public Schools, we will achieve our vision of student success through our mission. We will provide an innovative educational environment that allows and inspires success for everyone. We are going to start by showing you a little bit of our student success. We have two students from Charlotte High School who are going to be headed to the International Science Fair. That's not just the national, it's not just the regional. This is the International Science Fair. So I'm going to ask Nadia Kamal and Nicole Miller to please come and lead us in the pledge to our flag. If you all would please stand and join us.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. You will notice that tonight in our superintendent's chair, we have our deputy superintendent, Dr. Donna Widmeyer, filling in for Dr. Whitaker, who's over here ably on the side. This is part of the training program that we have for our leadership in this district. Dr. Widmeyer, do we have any additions and corrections to tonight's agenda?
Yes, ma'am, we do. We have one under personnel action, F2E.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve or we accept item F2E as an addition to the agenda. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. We're going to start with reports, Dr. Widmeyer.
Yes, ma'am, we have 5 reports this evening, and for the first 3, we will go down front to greet some recipients.
Great.
Our first report this evening is recognition of the Teacher of the Year and the School Support Employee of the Year. And Mr. Mike Riley is going to come forward. Mike is the person who is in charge of the selection process for this annual event, and he's going to introduce the people who are responsible for the celebration portion of this event. Mr. Riley?
Welcome. This is something that is so exciting. I've been blessed to have this opportunity with the people that work in my department to be part of the selection process for the Teacher and Support Employee of the Year. And each year you come up with someone and you think, oh my gosh, what are we going to do to top this? What are we going to do? But each year I get to meet the 5 finalists. We had 365 nominations for Teacher of the Year and about 160 for Support Employee of the Year. And what these folks do, are they actually the best teachers, the best support employees? What they do is they have all of the best characteristics of great Charlotte County Public School Board employees. And it always makes me proud to be associated with these folks and to work with them. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mary Fred Clemens. She's Executive Director for the Charlotte Local Education Foundation. They take care of the celebration, which was wonderful at the event center, and all of the hoopla for the event. But again, each year, I'm so proud with the nomination that we send to the state, and so not proud. There's not a winner. There's not a loser. Any of the 5 finalists could have been Teacher of the Year. Probably any of the 325 nominations could have been. The quality of instruction is that good in Charlotte County, and we're fortunate to have that. Mary Fred?
We are delighted to honor our Teacher and Support Employees of the Year. I do have some Charlotte County Local Education Foundation board members here. If my board members would come forward and help us welcome our honorees. Annette Emmerich is here, Betty Gissendanner, and Tyler Paddock. Thank you for coming. The Teacher of the Year nominees, will you please come forward if you're here? Teacher of the Year nominees. We are so glad to introduce Mike Fullington from Port Charlotte High School. And Linda Schmidt from Liberty Elementary. Martina Pulliam from Meadow Park Elementary. And then our grand winner was Melissa White from Deep Creek. And Melissa, I have a special present for you, and I know you want to say a few words. Here. The check from the local education foundation in honor of you. And this is
Thank you.
a big check.
It is. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was an amazing process to go through this, from getting just the first nomination application and then to be selected as the final 5. I mean, just a wonderful process. It was great to have teachers come observe you. It really, when I was doing the state application, with the much thanks to Mike Riley for helping me with that, and Judy Lynch, it's just amazing just to reflect on what it is to be a teacher. And it is just such an amazing profession. And you know, with everything that's going on right now in, you know, the state capitol and things that are coming down with teachers, I think we just have to remember that we are here for the kids. You know, no matter what happens, no matter what we deal with, we are here for the children. And that, I just think, is just the most amazing thing. And it is amazing to be in education, no matter what is going on around the world. It's just amazing to be with those kids every day. One of my kids today, just to share the innocence of children, one of my bright stars gave me a Yoda sticker, which he had to explain who Yoda was, because I don't know Star Wars or whatever it's from. And he said, "Mrs. White, you're like Yoda because you just know all things." And I'm like, honey, I wish I did. But thank you so much. This is amazing, and I just hope I can represent Charlotte County well in Orlando. So thank you.
Shake hands with our board members and the school board. Honorees.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
You did a fine job. Thank you. I heard you're from Wisconsin.
The Holy Land, as I like to call it.
Now the support employees, would you come forward, please? We have Hope Davis from Neil Armstrong. Trey Jane, also from Neil Armstrong. And our special winner was Mary Ellen Meek from Murdoch Transportation. We have a special gift for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then you get the big one back.
There's a story behind the big one. They got them mixed up, but we got them straightened out now. This is the most important one. No. I'd like to thank everybody from the beginning of this process to the very end.
being one of the 5 finalists was an honor, and it's a pleasure. And to be the support personnel of the year, it's humbling. I do this all the time, I'm sorry. I love my job, and I love my kids. And when they're on my bus, they're my kids. I love working with all the people that I work with. It's a pleasure, and it's an experience that, well, for 20-some years I've done, and there's not been a day I've regretted it. But thank you for everything, everybody.
Shake hands with our board members and the school board members. Thank you so much. We're pleased to honor these special people tonight. No. And our president is here, Emily Lewis. Thank you. Thank you.
Next report is going to be with Ellen Harvey, and she's going to talk about the winners of the Charlotte County Visual Arts and Music Scholarships. Ellen?
These scholarships are from the Charlotte County Fair. And I just want to tell you how important the fair is as a supporter for the arts in Charlotte County Public Schools. I don't know if you went to the fair, but we have 10,000 square feet of artwork showing all K-12. And then we have a special area set up just for portfolio winners. And so from there, they're judged, and we have visual arts, and we have performance. And so tonight we'd like to recognize those students. To help me do that, can I have the treasurer from the Charlotte County Fair Board, John Massey, please come up?
Thank you. Just say a few words about the Charlotte County Fair. We were founded in 1989 and have been a nonprofit organization ever since. So we actually started in a field across the street at the stadium and have worked our way across the street to 20 acres of what we now have. A reminder that we are a nonprofit organization and we take no tax dollars from Charlotte County. All the money that comes in is through the Charlotte County Fairs, the 10 days, and all the events that happen out there. This fair was founded, like I say, in 89 with myself and several friends who decided that we want to do something for kids that always said we don't have anything to do. Now, having grown up here in Charlotte County, I can tell you there was not much to do. Our goal has always been, as they say, it is for the kids. And fortunately, through the years, we have been able to pay for all of our things, so we owe nothing to anyone. So the more money that we bring in, the more money we can give out. And that's what it's all about. Thank you.
And next year they told me they want to up the scholarships. So I'm really excited to look forward to that as well. So from Port Charlotte High, if Kenneth Carter and Alexis Najara will come up, please. This is for the performance. And Priscilla Gonzalez. From Port Charlotte High, that would be visual and music. From Charlotte High School, if Alicia Syed, Brandon Blondin, and Gina Falkenstern, please come forward. And Sophia Coinas, sorry. Gina. Yes, we had three performance artists from Charlotte High School. And you see they are in costume from Aida. And then from Lemon Bay, we had one winner for art and one for music, Delaney White and Jonathan Wagner. If you would come forward, please. And thank you so much to the Fair Board.
Well, we've had the arts, and now we're going to move to the science. Jackie Speak is going to recognize science fair winners at the regional and state level. Jackie.
Okay. They don't want to stay. Dr. Whitaker, Dr. Widmeyer, and school board members, thank you for giving the Division of Learning the opportunity to recognize the students who received awards at the Thomas Alva Regional Science and Inventors Fairs in this past January, where 450 students competed from 4 counties. The great thing about right now and the FCAT schedule changing is they've moved state science fair to March instead of April, so I get the privilege of sharing with you the state winners as well, who competed just last week, 820 participants from the state of Florida, and I know that I am still recovering from the trip, so I'm very proud of our students, their continued efforts in original, scientific, independent research, and I'm so thankful to our teachers and our parents for their continued support of the Charlotte County Science Program, which improves every year. Of the 420 students who participated in the regional science fair, 100 of them were from Charlotte County Public Schools. Over the past 5 years, sponsors for the Regional Science Fair provided awards, scholarships, and research opportunities worth approximately $300,000. And this year, our students from Charlotte County were awarded more than $120,000 of these awards and scholarship monies. Huge, huge. I get all. To date, this is absolutely one of Charlotte County Public Schools' most successful and most recognized years yet at regional and state science fair competitions. Some of the awards include, and I'm going to gush about them a little bit, about 65 of our students received awards and recognition at the regional fair. 19 students from Charlotte County received scholarships. 6 of our middle school students received a scholarship for the Florida Gulf Coast University Summer Research Opportunity, which is this summer, and it's 2 weeks at Florida Gulf Coast doing real research next to the scientists from FGCU. Great opportunity, and we usually see some outstanding projects as a result from this summer research opportunity the following school year. We had 1 middle school student and 2 high school students who received scholarships from Edison College, totaling approximately $4,000 per student. Of the 28 projects selected from regional, out of the 420, only 28 are selected to go to the state competition. 10 of those students were from Charlotte County Public Schools, and our largest number of representatives to date. In addition to representing us at State Science Fair, those students selected to compete at state, 3 middle school students and 7 high school students received full 4-year scholarships to Florida Gulf Coast University, amounting to about $11,000 apiece. It's very exciting. Of the 4 projects, only of those 420, we have enough high school students that participate that we can send 4 projects to International Science Fair, which is in May of this year in Los Angeles. Of the 4 projects selected from Regional Fair to compete at International, 2 projects, 1 team and 1 individual, are from Charlotte County Public Schools. And again, largest number of representatives to date, and just an amazing, amazing achievement. So yes, Jason Wickman, I get to go to ISEF this year. Very excited. Thank you, school board members, for approving that. Before we recognize the students, though, I want to thank the science fair coordinators and the parents who go above and beyond, because I see the looks on people's faces and you say, science fair project. But the opportunities that are available to our students are amazing opportunities and well worth the time and the effort. I think we've seen that over the years. And just thanks to those coordinators for helping those students think outside the box, as those are the projects that do really well at regional and state. I've got Aaron McCormick and BJ Richards at Port Charlotte Middle School, Andy Green from LA Anger, John Vallone from Murdoch Middle, Jeremy Bunk from Punta Gorda Middle, Judy Tornwall from Port Charlotte High, Janae Mora from Lemon Bay, and Jason Wickman from Charlotte High. So thank you to you guys for all those extra hours that you work for 4 cents an hour. It might be less. I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call one school at a time, and each science fair coordinator is going to come up and hand out certificates. They're going to stand here next to Dr. Whitaker. If the students would stand over here, just like the teacher of the year. When I announce your name, if you just shake hands with the school board members and the superintendents, that would be great. So the first one up is Port Charlotte Middle, setting the pace. So those students, everyone here from Port Charlotte Middle School, if you please come forward and stand here. This is the most abstract random I get. I have no idea who arrives or who's standing next to me until we actually see them. So, okay. Is Isabella Drudy here? Alfredo Ortega? There we go. Shannon Norton? Okay, Shannon Norton for an honorable mention in her earth science project. So congratulations. Is Emily Treasure here? Emily Treasure for her honorable mention in chemistry. Tara Culkin for her honorable mention in behavioral and social sciences. Is it Matthias? Matthias, not here? Okay. Alex DePaul, yep. 3rd place in engineering. Congratulations. And you must be Gina Huffman, who won 2nd place in animal science and is also one of our summer research opportunity recipients. So congratulations. So thank you very much, Port Charlotte Middle. You guys are off the hot seat. Congratulations. If I get LA Anger Middle School. Andy Green was unable to make it tonight, so Marshall Loudon has gratefully accepted to step in for her to pass out the certificates. Okay. Why don't you give me your first names? James. Okay, gotcha. Okay. James. Why am I not finding you, James? Talk to me. That's because I'm under a different name. Thank you. Chris Preston, engineering, 2nd place. Thank you for clarifying. I was in a dead panic for a moment. And Elizabeth Ramsey for her 1st place in biochemistry. She's also another summer research opportunity recipient and an Edison State College scholarship recipient. Murdoch Middle School. If you would please come forward. I know you. John Vallone could not be here, so hopefully Dan McIntosh. Yes, there. I saw you were juggling a few minutes ago. Okay. Name? Gabriel? Okay. Gabriel Campese, honorable mention in chemistry. Congratulations. Tammy Tran, honorable mention, behavioral and social sciences. Excellent. And last but not least, this is Valerie Sahabre, I just want to gush about her a little bit. She had first place at regional for her project on poison plastics in medicine and health sciences. She's one of the recipients for the summer research opportunity. She was also one of our state science fair finalists who received an honorable mention at state, and that's a huge honor. So, congratulations. Oh, probably I should have said that at the beginning, but if you'd like a photo opportunity, you can certainly come forward. Or not. Punta Gorda Middle School. B.J. Richards has agreed to stand in for Jeremy Bunk tonight, so if anyone's here from Punta Gorda Middle School, if you'd please come forward. And this could be short. Okay. Well, I mean, even though I know they're not here because I actually have heard some excuses that some of them couldn't make it because they're making up all the homework they missed from last week. But okay. I just want to recognize Matt Coward, who had first place in plant sciences, who was also a state science fair finalist and received third place at state, which is a big deal. And Emery Gavenley, who first place in physics and astronomy at regional. So. And also a state finalist, and a third runner-up at regional. So we're proud of them, even though they couldn't be here tonight, because they're savagely making up their homework. Port Charlotte High, Miss Tornwall. How many years have we been doing this, Judy? If Port Charlotte High School students would please come forward. Okay, is Angelina here? No. Cody Uttermolen, am I saying that right? Who received an honorable mention in behavioral and social sciences. Max Duramio, am I saying that right? Excellent. Third place in physics and astronomy. Alyssa Grassano, second place in environmental science. The student Alex Harvey, he could not be here tonight. He had a first place in physics and astronomy, and I just want to acknowledge that he did a project on stealthy shapes, and was another state science fair finalist who received a monetary award from the U.S. Navy Science and Naval Research. So at state, which is another really a big honor. So congratulations to him. Lemon Bay High School, if students would come forward, please, and stand here. I know it's a long trek. Again, I just love that I never know who's. And Janae Mora, and for just above and beyond, as always, and Jason Wickman's going to help out. Thank you. That's okay. We'll take one. Name, please. Morgan Guzik. Okay, third place in behavioral and social sciences. Congratulations. Science teachers you're just troopers. I do also want to recognize Robert Marker and CJ DeLeon in their Energy and Transportation Project. They are Edison State Scholarship recipients. Laura Delaney, who also could not be here, won first place at regional engineering project on the vehicle extreme temperature alarm system with cellular dispatch for unattended children. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but it actually sounds an alarm if a child or even an animal is left in the car and the temperature gets above a certain degree. She was our third runner-up at regional and also went to state, and she's one of our International Science Fair finalists, so we're really excited about that. So. Charlotte High School. Thank you, Mr. Wickman. I know 3 of the 4 of you since I traveled with you last week. Mason Boken. Am I saying that right? Boken. Second place in mathematics. How do you feel? I know Angelique Knowles, she could not be here. She was also a first place recipient regional. She did also represent us at State Science Fair last week. We have Dylan Forsberg, who got a first place at regional in physics and astronomy called coefficient of friction. You can talk to him about that later. Dylan was also a State Science Fair finalist who competed last week as well. And my two Hollywood girls from NBC2 News. Nicole Miller and Nadia Kamal. Before I just stay for 1 second. First place at regional in their on their project in environmental science. It was a team project, and team projects are usually tough to judge at regional science fair. But they did receive a first place, and I'm going to read it to you. Establishing the photoremediation capacity of Brassica rapa as an instrument for heavy metal uptake using hydroponics and UV vis spectroscopy. All right. In a nutshell, they've basically done a pilot kind of a research project, which is only in its beginning stages, right, because you're 11th graders and you're going to continue with this next year, that pulls heavy metals out of the water. So the application is that they could literally design these hydroponic rafts to put into the Peace River or anywhere that would pull the mercury out and make it safer water. Am I saying that in layman's terms? Yeah, okay. Yeah, even if I wasn't, you would have said yes, wouldn't you? Okay. They received at regional the Stockholm Junior Water Prize, the Yale Science and Engineering Association Award, Ding Darling Wildlife Society Award in Environmental Science. They also received the Argonauta Award, which is a huge honor, which is the Earthshine group. They're also were given, I guess, an application or the opportunity to apply for the Lee County Mosquito Control Internship. Not sure if you're taking them up on that. Of course, they were our second runners-up at regional. They represented us at state last week. They received third place at state, which is, yay, very, very, very awesome. And our team project that is going to International Science Fair in Los Angeles in May. So we're very proud of them. So you can come forward now. I'm done gushing. And I have to give you a hug. Yeah, Jason Wickman and I will not allow them to stop their continued research in this area. So, again, proud of all of you. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and see you next year.
For our next report, we're going to call upon Dan McIntosh. Dan actually is a mariner presently, but before Dan was a mariner, he was a long-time pirate. And so he's going to talk about a project that he has done for Port Charlotte High School.
And I think Jackie left, but I did ask if I could speak before Jackie because, as you saw, no one wants to see me. They came for the kids, but that's quite all right. It was pretty impressive what Jackie does. Dr. Whitaker, Dr. Widmeyer, and members of the school board, as you may know, Port Charlotte High School is currently celebrating its 30th year of existence this school year. Port Charlotte High School opened its doors in 1981 with only a freshman and sophomore class. One of the first actions of the school's first SAC committee was to formally request that Charlotte High School change its name to Punta Gorda High School in order to avoid confusion with the newly formed school. From stories of BYOC, bring your own chairs, for games held in the gymnasium, to fundraisers by the SGA to help pay for fill for the land, which would eventually be the football field, this book, The History of Port Charlotte High School, contains the history of each year from the high school. From Anthony Ciccella to PCH alumni Steve Dionisio, from the humble beginnings of the Pride of Port Charlotte to Carnegie Hall, from a small group of MUNers to the recognized national champion Model United Nations team, the history of Port Charlotte High School attempts to capture what PCHS has always lacked, a sense of tradition and history. As I interviewed for my first teaching position in Charlotte County, Steve Dionisio made this statement: "I like to hire alumni because I don't have to force you to be a pirate. You already are a pirate." This statement holds true now more than ever. Port Charlotte High School is beginning to see second and even some third generation pirates to our school. These students have grown up as pirates and will continue to make Port Charlotte High School one of the best schools in the state of Florida. The book is currently on pre-sale at Port Charlotte High School for $30 plus $6 shipping and handling if needed. It is important to note that all proceeds from the sale of this book will go directly back to Port Charlotte High School. PCHS bookkeeper Tracy Bellino will be here at the end of tonight's meeting to assist if anyone would like to order the book, and books can also be ordered by calling Port Charlotte High School. Tonight, I do have a few sample chapters available if you would like to take a quick preview of the book. On the screen, you will see the front and cover of the book with a quote from our very own Superintendent Dr. Whitaker and Steve Dionisio. And Dr. Whitaker, if you could please come here for a second, I do have a small presentation for you. Just kind of something to hang up in the school board. This is actually the cover of the book, and the quote here reads, "Once a pirate, always a pirate." So if you could please hang that and be proud.
Glad to.
Great, thank you very much, sir. And Dr. Whitaker has been a strong supporter of this project, so I thank you, Dr. Whitaker. If you would like to speak about this project, please feel free to contact me. We will be available after the meeting if you would like to purchase a book. Dr. Whitaker, Dr. Widmeyer, and members of the school board, I would like to thank you for this opportunity tonight to speak to you about this project, for which I am extremely excited. This book will do more for Port Charlotte High School than generate some monetary profits. My hope is that this book will provide pirates, both young and seasoned, with a history of the school that we all love. Thank you for your time.
Pirate alumni sitting up here this evening from years past. I see three of us. Our final report this evening is from Chris Bress, who's going to talk about National Library Week. Chris?
Good evening, board members, Madam Deputy Superintendent and legal counsel. I'd like to first recognize the media specialists that are in the crowd. I believe I caught everybody, but we have Kingsway, Liberty, Meadow Park, Myakka River, Peace River, Sally, L.A. Anger, Port Charlotte Middle, Charlotte High School, and the Academy represented. I don't know if I missed anybody, but if I did, I apologize. But before we read the proclamation, I wanted to take a few minutes and tell you about the exciting things that are happening in your media centers each and every day. And now's the perfect opportunity because April is National Media Month and April 10th is a National Media Week. So here we say that media is alive in Charlotte County. We know that access to media is crucial. And it's been a little bit over a year now that media has come into my department and is merged with Learning Through Technology. And it's been an exciting year. I feel that I've learned a lot from the people behind me and a lot of exciting things that I feel that I've maybe been able to infuse into their area as well. Here is Charlotte High School, and they were having a read-in on their Celebrate Literacy Day. One of the things that I think is exciting is media is multifaceted in Charlotte County. We have students that are reading books like you would always normally expect them to be reading, and they are challenging each other to increase the amount of books being read every year. They do things like literacy weeks, they have raffles, they do all sorts of things to enhance learning every day. We have all the different genres represented, and the amount of books that we have available to our students is a goal of ours to always increase, because it's only through a deep collection that we can reach the needs of all of our different students. One of the things that is exciting is that we have technology in all of our media centers, and so students can use both the printed word and e-reading as well. Another focus that we have is that we have to have books that are meaningful not only for fiction and nonfiction, but for research as well, because the students use our media centers each and every day to work on homework and projects, and many of the science fairs that we saw tonight, a lot of that research was done in the media center. Here we have a media center set up, and I just thought this is a great picture, because at any given moment you can see students sitting at a table with laptops next to a book cart where students are reading, and a teacher teaching a group lesson all at the same time. It's truly a hub of interactive media as well as attention. As the students continue to do the research, books are checked out at an amazing rate, which is good, and then we have volunteers like these two ladies here that help stack the books back up. Making media real is a challenge that all schools face, and one of the things that I've really been impressed by is that the schools will often reach out to authors and invite them to come speak with the students. And here we have an author speaking with Charlotte High School, and then they went over to Port Charlotte High School and they had that meeting as well. What is even more exciting to a tech geek like myself is that it's not always possible to have people come in real life, but we've been able to invite them virtually into our media centers. So here's a picture of an author speaking to a group of students via Safari Live, which is a video conferencing system that we put in place. The neat part about this is often authors will do this for free, because all they have to do is open up an email and click on a web link, and they can be instantly talking with dozens, if not 100 students. Here's an example of another author coming into Port Charlotte High School, and yet another author. So how exciting is it for a young group of readers to not only read the book, but then to meet the person and be able to speak with them one-on-one and ask them questions about the book they just read? Getting kids involved is a big goal of our school district. So here we have students voting for the Sunshine State Young Readers Award. If students had read at least 3 books, they got to vote. And the media specialist reached out to the county, and they brought in voting equipment. Now, these are the kids that will eventually be voting for you guys, hopefully someday if you're still running for the school board. So here they're getting to actually use real voting equipment and vote for the Young Reader Awards. So it's really a neat opportunity for these students. Here's a program called Read Like a Rock Star that was going on at Meadow Park and East Elementary, where as the students qualified, they could get awards and be invited to a party. And I thought was interesting, a lot of the faculty members decided that they would take place as well. This is from Liberty Elementary School, and they had a Rita coaster, which I thought was really kind of exciting. When I saw that picture for a second, I said, that looked really pretty cool. And here they have students out on the playground even reading. I thought this was neat. I have nephews that are about this age, and I thought how exciting it would be for them to be able to read, to dress up as the characters from the books that they're reading. So I thought that was something that was very cool. And then some of the teachers even dressed up as the 3 blind mice. This picture I thought was just too cute not to share. Just the way that the child's holding that book up just looks like it's part of that. But, you know, making reading fun and making the media centers an inviting place for students to come really increases the foot traffic as well as the enjoyment of the space. Media centers are also often used as a hub in the school for all sorts of different things. This happened to be part of the psychology fair, and they would set up projects. This is an image from an interactive interdisciplinary lesson on the Salem witch trials. You may not be able to pick this up, but I believe he's wearing a witch hat. Yes, and so it's kind of interesting that, you know, the media center is not only used for checking out books, but it's a place for interactive instruction. And making the news, and I said literally, because a lot of our media specialists are very instrumental in the TV news, and a lot of them also happen to be cadre graduates. And so here we have students that are doing the news broadcasts from the media centers, so it's just another hat that our media specialists have to wear. And here we have a student standing against a green chroma wall, and, you know, once again, being the geek that I am, I wondered if he would have appeared invisible from the neck down, because green on green, and you can make the green disappear. Okay, and so here we have media and tech going hand in hand. Here's a student using an iPad. Every media center has an iPad that they can have the students using interactively along with all the computers, and she's using it to study Spanish. And here I thought this was cool. Many years ago, you used to have to use access the card catalog by hand. You may remember the drawers that you used to have to pull. Now they can use an iPad to access Destiny, which is our online catalog, from anywhere inside their media centers. Here we have media specialists that help put text in the hands of kids. We have iPads, we have iPod touches, we have digital cameras, we have wireless mice and wireless keyboards in interactive whiteboards. The infusion of media centers and technology is really very deep in Charlotte County. Here's an example of making movies in the media center. This was Neil Armstrong Elementary. The media specialist there happens to be a cadre graduate, and he worked with his students to create book commercials using Movie Maker on the computers that are in the media center, and that happens at many of our schools. Cooperative learning is cool. This is a device that we've put one of these in each one of our elementary schools and just kind of plugged it in and turned it on, and some of the kids walked over and took a look at it. It's called a smart table, and when they started to play with it, they started to recognize that both of them could interactively touch the surface and things would happen. And within a few seconds, of course, kids started to mob the scene. What's neat about these tables is that the media specialists can have them set up and they can support 80 interactive touch points simultaneously. So that means you could have up to 8 kids using all 10 fingers on different applications. And it can cross all different subject areas. This happens to be a tanagram math lesson, but there's language lessons, there's all sorts of different things. If you've ever seen like NCIS where they're moving the pictures across the screen, that's basically what this is. It's an interactive environment set up for children. So we view ourselves as serving our kids every day, one smile at a time, because if we keep the kids interested and keep them happy, we see an increased amount of usage of our media center, and that's directly responsible are the media specialists that we have in our school district. They do an amazing job at bringing kids in and keeping it exciting. And we're going to read I'm going to read the proclamation here in a second, but I do want to remind you, April is National Media Month, and April 10th is National Media Week. If you get the opportunity, please reach out, come out and visit a media center. If you want to see one of those interactive tables, you can come by any of the elementary schools. There are all the elementary schools. But if you'd like to come out and see any of the middle or high schools, please just reach out to the school, let them know that you're coming, and they'll set something up for you. So here I'll read the proclamation that I hope that you will accept. Whereas libraries provide free access to all, from books and online resources, for families to library business centers that help support entrepreneurship and retraining. Whereas our nation's school, academic, public, and special libraries make a difference in the lives of millions of Americans today more than ever. Whereas librarians are trained professionals helping people of all ages and backgrounds find and interpret the information they need to live, learn, and work in a challenging economy. Whereas libraries are helping level the playing field for job seekers, with 88% of public libraries providing access to job databases and other online resources. Whereas libraries are places of opportunity, providing programs that teach all forms of literacy, promoting continuing education, and encouraging lifelong learning. Whereas in times of economic hardship, Americans turn to and depend on their libraries and their librarians. Whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the School Board of Charlotte County, Florida, proclaim National Library Week April 10th through the 16th, 2011. We encourage all residents to visit the library this week to take advantage of the wonderful resources available at your library. Create your own story at your library. And I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Press? Actually, I have one, Chris. You never randomly wear a tie, so I'm curious. Tell me what's on that tie.
Very nice. This is actually the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone was found in Egypt, and it was one of the most famous pieces of literature ever because it is how we first were able to translate hieroglyphs, because it was written 3 different languages, and they were able to take the Sanskrit and translate hieroglyphs, and that's how we were able to read everything that was written in ancient Egypt. So this actually comes from the Museum of London. So even though the Rosetta Stone is from Egypt, it's not in Cairo. like so many things, it's in the British Museum, because at one point they basically owned everything on Earth.
Owned by Sir Thomas Young.
Is it really?
Yes, very true.
Actually, I've seen it in there, and it's a beautiful room that they have that in. But I wasn't sure. I knew it had to have some connection. You could find it at your library, could you
That's
not?
right, Rosetta Stone. And thank you for noticing.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Bress? Okay,
Thank you very much.
He did ask us to accept this resolution, so I would entertain a motion at this time.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the proclamation for National Library Week 2011. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Moving on, Dr. Widmeyer, I don't have any old business. Do you have any that I need to be aware of?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we'll move on to new business, the consent agenda.
The superintendent recommends approval of the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any board discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the action agenda, item 2A, the Student Success Plan and Schools in Need of Improvement mid-year reports. Dr. Widmeyer.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to call Chuck Bradley to the podium to discuss the mid-year reports.
Thank you, Dr. Widmeyer, members of the board. It's my pleasure tonight to bring to you the mid-year reports of the school improvement process for Charlotte County, and that includes two components this year, both our student success plans and also the school in need of improvement state plans. And as you noticed, the majority of the reports that were provided for you this evening are in the school in need of improvement format. And that is not because all of those schools are in need of improvement or have been designated as such, but we are in the process of migrating all of our school improvement processes to the new online process. And because of that, we are required to have all of the elements of the state plan as we do that. And of course, you saw at the beginning of the year, the school improvement plans through the online process and all of the elements that were included. So until we get that built, we have to utilize the state form, especially for those schools that are required to use it. And we are encouraging the rest to start that migration to using that process, to learning how to use that form and answering those questions. And so that is why it is provided for you in that format tonight. We did have two schools that are not yet there. One of them has a young administrative staff and are still in the process of learning that format. So we'll bring them on board next year. And the other one is not a school in need of improvement and is not required to do it, so they chose not to do it this year. Other than that, the progress is promising. We see great signs of increases in student achievement earmarked in those reports, effective use of many plans and projects and programs throughout the district. It's good to see where schools do note that they need to continue improvement. It is noted in these plans. And so if you have any questions about the plans at this time, I'll be happy to answer them.
Chuck, I have a question. In some of the plans, they talked about, or they referenced that the student populations were too small for a valid measurement. Could you address that, please?
Yes, because of the way the school in need of improvement, the CINE process, as we call it, works at the state level, they're targeting primarily their AYP subgroups. So in many of our schools, we don't have an AYP subgroup that has enough population to qualify for reporting data on it. And I'm going to pick on one extreme, and that's Charlotte Harbor Center. Because it is so small, we could actually identify the individual students even through the group data. So for that reason, we tell them no, and they have a waiver from the state. They are not required to report that.
Great. Thanks for that clarification. Any other questions for Mr. Bradley?
I am just glad that this is paperless. There's 234 pages, so this is nice that we can save that much.
And
Thank
it fits
you.
on here, too.
Yes, it does. And you can make it bigger to read. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we get a recommendation?
Okay, yes, we certainly can. The superintendent recommends approval of the CINE mid-year reports.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Student Success Plan and CINE mid-year reports. Is there any board discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Gosh, I think Mr. Bradley's back again.
I think he is.
Next item on the agenda is the revised ESOL add-on endorsement plan. Dr. Whitmire.
Yes, we had to revise our plan in order to meet the changes that in the state board rule. And so Mr. Bradley is here to answer any questions that you might have about that.
Thank you, Dr. Whitmire. At the beginning of this school year, the state board did make some revisions, as Dr. Whitmire indicated, to the state board rule that governs the way that the ESOL endorsement works and the requirements that are established within that meta decree that occurred many years ago. And so as they made revisions, we were required to revise our program. And so you'll notice that the courses have been realigned to the new standards format, and the course structures are created accordingly. And so those are the only major revisions. It doesn't really change our program structure other than in the way that we offer the courses. Over the last few years, we've been able to offer a very nice course structure through Beacon Educator Online, which allowed greater flexibility for the way that we use those courses. We could use them for not only the endorsement, but we could use the first few courses for the 60 hours that are required by content areas, or the 20 hours that were required by art, music, PE, and those areas. So this does change that, our ability to use that in that way. And instead, it replaces it with 5 60-hour courses for the endorsement that must stand alone for the endorsement itself. We will still provide the other 60-hour and 20-hour courses for those that are not required to get the endorsement. But from now on, from September forward, anybody getting the endorsement must go through this path.
Do you then take that to think that fewer people will pursue that avenue?
We've been working with Beacon, and so Beacon has already begun to align the courses, and pretty much the older path, what they had done is they had split the courses apart into Parts A and Part B, and just made it a little more palatable in smaller chunks. So the state just didn't like that format. They didn't like the variety throughout the state that they found. It was becoming hard to track in a research base, and then therefore hard to report to the court, are we making progress? So this helps to unify it statewide and to simplify it. It really won't affect the way that the teachers experience it, other than the way they register and the way the courses are offered.
Mr. Swift.
Any questions?
Is this an item that would be worth approaching one of our representatives for possible modification or exemption so that we could continue to do what we were doing, which was working pretty well? And because I've made a connection with the House Education Chairman now, and it'd be something I'd certainly be willing to take up with him. He happens to be the president emeritus of Flagler College, so he's got a very good education background and understands some of this stuff. So, I mean, would it be worth mentioning to try to, because if it is, you need to have positive points about what you want to have done.
I appreciate that, Mr. Swift. I think at this time, the state and our providers have already started to make those shifts, and they're going to end the course offerings that we've been enjoying for the last few years. It never hurts, though, to make comments to our friends in Tallahassee about how we feel about those changes.
Anything else for Mr. Bradley? Okay, Dr. Whitmire, do we have a recommendation?
Yes, we do. The superintendent recommends approval of the revised ESOL endorsement plan.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the revised ESOL add-on endorsement plan. Board discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses certification. Dr. Whitmire.
This is our annual certification. We go do this every year, and I understand that you need to stay afterwards to make sure Mr. Olivo gets the signed copy once you approve it. Superintendent is recommending approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses certification. Any board discussion? I should tell all of you that I had a extended conversation with Mr. Olivo today, and I've asked him that sometime in the next 6-8 months if we could have a workshop on changes because of the new construction that we've got going around and the portables and things like that, just so that we all know where our student stations are and what numbers we have. So that'll be coming sometime on the horizon, just so that you. Further board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Hurricane Charlie Recovery Construction Manager at risk contract approval with Ajax Building Corporation for the Punta Gorda Center warehouse and associated site work. Dr. Widmeyer. I want to make sure we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And the superintendent recommends approval of this item as you spoke.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the construction manager at-risk contract with Ajax for the Punta Gorda recovery of Hurricane Charlie. Board discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, looking forward to working with you. Next item on the action agenda, personnel action as amended.
And the superintendent recommends approval of this item as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel item as amended. Board discussion. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Mrs. Smith, I believe we had a citizen who wished to speak.
Yes, Mr. Salvatore Castronovo.
Salvatore Castronovo. I believe I've emailed you, sir. All right, welcome.
I think, I guess first thing I'd like to do is thank you, Chairwoman Messina, for fulfilling your request. I actually have to say I was pleasantly surprised that you provided me all the information that I asked for, which was the salaries of the board members and the benefits that they're receiving and the salaries of the teachers and of your support staff. Not to say my wife was a teacher, so I do not begrudge the increases that were given to the teachers nor the staff. They certainly deserve it, and I fully know how much work the teachers do when they're not in school. So, but what I'm here to talk about is the school board salaries, and I don't know how many of you read the letters to the editor, but I've been quite active, mostly last summer. I don't think I've written anything since last summer concerning school board salaries. And what I'd like to point out is that a study done by the National Association of School Boards for this size of a district, 60.9% received no salary whatsoever. This is nationwide. Less than 2,000, 8.8%. Between 2,000 and 10,000, 27.9%. Between 10 and 20,000, 1.3%. More than 20,000, 1%. So you're in the 1 percentile. You should feel quite privileged that your salary is in the 1 percentile of this country. Only 1% of the school boards nationwide make as much as you do. In fact, probably less than that, because we're talking 20,000, and your salary is what, 32,000 plus? And along with that, for your attorney, I question, if you read the Florida statutes, when it talks about compensation, it talks about salary. Since the year 2002, the salary, you set your own salaries. And this could become quite ludicrous if you look at that one city in California where they were paying themselves $250,000 a year and up. And I don't understand how this state can pay their school boards $32,000 a year with benefits, which runs up to approximately $48,000. I do not understand that at all. I come from the state of Michigan. I live here part year. I live in Michigan part year. The school boards in Michigan receive no salary whatsoever. School boards in New York State receive, and one of the educational leaders in this country receives no salary whatsoever. In those states, among many others, it is a privilege to serve the people of the county and the students of the county without a salary. Now, you set your own salaries. I think you need to do a little bit of retrospect and take a look at, do you deserve $32,000 plus benefits? And I think if your attorney reads the statute correctly, I do not think you're entitled to 1 penny over the $32,000 plus that you get. It says salaries. Compensation includes salaries plus benefits. It makes no mention of benefits whatsoever, and I intend to pursue this issue. So I don't know if you have any comments. If you want to hear any more from me, I suggest you read the statute.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments.
And thank you very much, Mrs. Appreciate it, Chairman Messina.
Do we have any other citizens who wish to speak? Thank you. Attorney comment?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Nothing tonight. Board member comment, Mrs. Rendell.
Thank you. I attended the Junior Leadership Charlotte lunch. The other board members were out of town, so I was there at the lunch at Lashley Park Marina. There were only 17 students, unfortunately, because it was the first day of spring break, so 10 of them were not there. And then after that, we came to this building, and Chuck Bradley did the same student convocation that he did on February 24th. That time it was 50 students. This time it was the 17, like I said. And this was a more homogeneous group compared to the group that had the 50 students in it. This was just the juniors in high school, and they were academically pretty much on the same level. And Chuck went through the same process about asking the same 3 or 4 different questions of what helped you in your education in Charlotte County Public Schools, of what worked against you, what do you envision as a good teacher, and ultimately what is the one thing you want to tell us. And of course I walked around all the groups, and it lasted about an hour for all the groups to work through the questions and present them. And what they were saying as they presented with their individual groups for the hour was not exactly what I heard on the February 24th day with the 50 students, but the very last thing that they wanted to tell us was exactly the same thing as the first group. Totally different kind of students, mind you, but exactly the same thing. We want professional, caring teachers who use a variety of teaching methods, who motivate and inspire students to learn. It's the same thing. How basic, how simple. It's the whole relationship thing. I want a good relationship with my teacher. I want her or him to be a professional who is excited about what she or he is doing and inspires me to learn. That's it. So it was another good convocation, a very interesting process, I thought. And also I attended Neil Armstrong's National Honor Society ceremony last Friday, where they inducted 18 students into their National Honor Society, into the National Honor Society for elementary students. And Neil Armstrong does a lot to foster leadership skills in their students. And one of the big things they're going to be having is on April 28th. We have not received any information on it yet, but the principal did want us to mark your calendars. She doesn't know what time it is yet. The secretary is going to be sending us out information on it. And it's just like a culmination of all the leadership activities and awards and that kind of thing. So I said I would tell the other board members to mark their calendars, and we'll be awaiting the details. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for assisting Mr. Bradley with that.
Yes.
Because that was
And
important.
also on that day, I was outside doing that picture thing that we all had to gather for, so I was in between going out there. I was going back and forth and doing both of those at the same time to represent the board. So,
thank you. Mrs. Miller.
Yes, March 23rd and 24th, I represented our school district during a day in the legislature in Tallahassee, which incidentally lasted 2 days. I left here around 5 in the morning and arrived there in Tallahassee to attend a briefing on the educational priorities for the 2011 session. That afternoon, Vern Crawford escorted members of the Greater Florida Consortium of School Boards around the Capitol, setting up appointments with various senators and representatives. The following day, we continued our appointments, and I also made certain that I met with our local legislators. Some of the points the group and I personally stressed were as follows: restore the quarter critical needs millage levy as a local discretionary leverage option, eliminate unfunded mandates, restore local control of elected school boards to set their own opening and closing dates of school, survey all school districts as to where they stand on readiness to transition to required higher digital environment in the schools. I also attended the the Florida Senate Budget Subcommittee on Education pre-K through 12. The discussion that day concerned class size requirements, most to be met on or before April student membership survey every year. After that date, students may be assigned to classes that temporarily exceed class size maximums. The others was to delete a provision requiring that certain middle school students who earned high school credits, Algebra 1, not take the end-of-course assessment during the 2010-2011 school year. Of course, they had the class a good year before that, and they felt it wasn't fair to the students. These two items passed unanimously, and one of our local people from Sarasota, and that was Senator Nancy Dietert, was part of that group, and they were very supportive of both items. It was interesting. People seemed to listen, and I hope it did some good. I'm going to follow up all of these. I met with at least 11 senators and 4 representatives in about a day and a half. I'm going to follow up with an email to each thanking them for their time and effort, and again list the points that we presented to them. I also, talking about mandates, unfunded mandates, I pulled this from a budget booklet that we received 2-3 years ago, and it mentions the federal and the state mandates. And again, some of these are funded and some of them are not. And if we could eliminate the non-funded, that would help with the financial problems that we have. I'm going to make copies for each of you and Dr. Whitaker so that you'll have these. And that is it, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent.
Thank you. I just actually today received an email. Charlotte County is going to form a committee that's the 10-year plan to end homelessness. It's a national movement that's going on, and we're going to get our local chapter. They sent an email to my work email and asked me to be on it, so I'm going to attend tomorrow on behalf of the school board. So I'll keep you guys up to date on what happens with that. The other two things that I really wanted to hit on were I wanted to give kudos to Ellen Harvey and Mary Fred Clemens, but they're both gone, so I'll save that for some night when they're both here. And the final thing I have to say, I'm sorry, Jerry and Lee and everybody else whose alma maters are not playing in the Final Four this weekend, but the University of Kentucky will be, so go Cats.
Mr. Swift, it pains you to follow that, I know.
I'll get my turn.
Someday.
Last week at the school board day in the legislature, as well as the new board member training that began before the day, 2 days before the day in the legislature, I was able to be there for the entire week, and I, as I alluded earlier, met with the chairman of the House Education Committee, and he had run into Dr. Blanton somewhere that morning and wanted some folks to come in and talk to him. He was getting a lot of pressure from the charter school industry to make some modifications to the charter school bill. And I thought it was going to be about a 5-minute meeting, but after about 40, the secretary came and said, really, Representative, it's backing up pretty deep out here. So we ended it, and I was happy to see a couple of things. This was on Tuesday. On Thursday, some revised language came out in the charter school bill, and I think some of it came from the conversation that we had. He also told Representative Roberson that next year he would be willing to entertain glitch amendments to the House version of Senate Bill 736.
to fix some of the things we all know is already wrong with it. He just couldn't get any leadership to accept an amendment at this point in time, but he was very interested in what we had to say. Attended the budget hearing as well, and afterwards I was back at the school board office, and Ruth Milton and I were sitting there, and she handed me 3 pieces of paper and said, and it was the 3 different iterations of the budget. And in one particular line, they were taking the total assessed value in the state and the average millage rate, and those 2 numbers didn't change on any page, but the result that they got changed on all 3 pages. So it'd be like having 2 plus 2, and one time getting 5 is the right answer, and one time 3.5, and one time 4, and we'd have no clue. And another page, when we do our budget at the end of the year, it always compares to the budget we started out with the year before. Well, the state, every time they adjust it, then they modify it. So this budget is based on the calculation after the February FTE count. Those numbers on the 3 different pages were different. And it just makes you wonder what in the world those guys are thinking sometimes. The board of directors on Friday the board of directors of the School Board Association decided to hold in abeyance the lawsuit that we signed on with the last meeting. There is some feeling that with the resignation of the commissioner and the resignation of the chairman of the State Board of Education, that there's not going to be much impetus to impose the penalties. As you know, we weren't affected by that, but and there is legislation that pretty much does away with it, and it's moving through the process. Almost had a very interesting experience. I was meeting with Senator Dietert and just stopped by to give her some information, and she invited me into her office and asked me if I had a few minutes, and I said, I had a few. And she said, well, Dan Marino is coming by for an appointment in a couple of minutes if you'd like to meet him. And I said, sure. So we talked for about 10 minutes, and then her aide came in and said he's called, and he is running a good bit late, and I had another appointment. But for those of you who don't know, he sponsors an autism foundation because he has an autistic child, and he apparently makes an appearance in the legislature every year and lobbies for autism and autism causes. I was really proud of all the talent of these kids in the science fair. I mean, I don't know where they come up with some of the projects that they come up with, and it's just amazing to hear and to see the result that they are having. I also participated in Tallahassee filming a TV spot that's going to be aired all over the state. Unclear whether it's going to be on the internet or actually on TV, but anyway, they used 7 school board members, a few folks from the League of Cities, and a few from the Association of Counties, all about the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, or TABOR.
So you're in that spot?
Yep.
You're going to go viral.
Hope not. And although the current language exempts all 3 groups pretty much from the effects of TABOR, there's still some feeling that they may try to make an end run around that and apply it to school districts and local governments. At our last workshop, I said I would make some copies of some articles out of the most recent Educational Leadership magazine, and I have one on what at-risk readers need. The other one is on what kind of diploma do kids need in this age. And last but not least, my favorite is on the importance of the arts and humanities in education. I think you'll find some interesting information that runs counter to some of the things that we typically hear. Next to last, I invite anyone this weekend to attend the performance of Aida. We had the kids here before the meeting doing some things out of the little vignettes out of the play, the musical. I have watched some of the rehearsal, and it's going to be very interesting. And last but not least, Mr. Vincent, even though my basketball team did not quite make it into the Final Four, those of you who have allegiances to other schools in the Southeastern Conference, my alma mater is now the #1 baseball team in the nation.
Oh, please.
And for a little school on the west end of Nashville, Tennessee, it's not doing too badly. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. I have a few things. First, on Friday, March 18th, you should have received an email from Patricia Peterson regarding on-site workshops for Master Board Program. If each of you could tell me your top 3 choices, then we'll kind of see. If you need me to forward you the email again with the listing, I can do that. But we would like to see which ones, and then maybe try to go ahead and select some dates. So the dates will be, 3 months apart, so it's not anything that we need to lock in right now, but they do need to try to kind of schedule some things, so if we could get working on that. This Friday is the topping off at Lemon Bay High School at 11:30. Hope to see you all there. I will certainly be there, and I know Mr. Oliva, Mr. Spur, and many others will be joining us there. Speaking of Lemon Bay, it was a emotional day in the Messina house where we experienced a rite of passage, and my youngest son registered for high school classes today, so both of my kids will be in high school next year, which is such a just difficult thing to imagine for somebody who still thinks she's 19. And Dr. Widmeyer, we appreciate very much your energy and efforts this week in answering all of our many and detailed questions leading up to and including tonight's board meeting, and it's always a pleasure to work with you, and good work as always. Thank you. Thank you. Next item is superintendent comment.
Yes, and I want to thank each one of you for just the interesting conversations and also the interesting questions. And with that, I need to thank my colleagues, Jerry Olivo and Barbara Mellinson, who
Way
have
in the back.
Yes.
In the dark hiding.
There she is, yes, who have given answers, and everyone else who helped me along, and especially Dr. Whitaker, who has continued the tradition of training for having us do this once every year. It is only going to be once, right? And I want to just comment to Dan McIntosh that what a great idea for you to do for Port Charlotte High School, and really do wish you the very best in that regard. I just know that's just going to be a wonderful thing for the school. A sad note, one of our students, a 10th grader at Charlotte High School, Ryan Dutiel, passed away during spring break, and so we extend our sympathies to his family and friends.
Dr. Whitaker, did you have anything? I'm thinking we should consult with the superintendent before we adjourn.
The real one.
Dr. Widmeyer and board members, Ms. Young, on a more somber note tonight as we leave, I want to draw to your attention that one of our employees, Mrs. Pat Oakes, passed away on Tuesday, March 22nd, with her family at her side. Pat began her Charlotte County Public School career in July of 1989 in the maintenance department. She served as administrative assistant for approximately 22 years. She was a longtime resident of Punta Gorda. She moved here in the mid-'80s from Iowa. She has 3 sons and 2 brothers, and her parents still reside in Iowa and would visit on a regular basis. Pat was a loving mother and daughter and grandmother of 6. Before she began her career with Charlotte County Public Schools, her love for teaching was fulfilled in her position at Christian Academy in Charlotte County. She also enjoyed the classes she taught through adult community education She enjoyed quilting, crocheting, and cooking. And oh, how the maintenance department loved her homemade chocolate chip cookies when she'd bring them in. Pat is preceded in death by her grandparents and one grandson. And we're going to miss Pat. And so we just want to give her family a reminder that we continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Then if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned.